Hi, everyone. Quick one for you. Make sure you subscribe and like before we start. Thank you. I always thought I had everything under control. My life was smooth, predictable. I liked it that way. I'm Ethan Ward, real estate developer, successful, stable, and I thought, happily married. 7 years with Rachel. We weren't perfect, but who is? Our friends used to say we were the golden couple. I guess they only saw what we wanted them to see. Lately, things felt off. Rachel started staying out late, saying she had work dinners, client meetings. At first, I didn't think much of it. She's ambitious, always trying to make partner at her firm. But then the excuses started piling up. I'm meeting with my team. We're working on a big project. Just one more drink with the boss. It's funny how your gut knows before your brain does. I noticed little changes. She'd smile less when we were together. Her phone, always close, turned into an extension of her hand, vibrating at odd hours, messages she never shared. I didn't want to pry, didn't want to be the paranoid husband, so I told myself it was just stress. It had to be. But there was something cold in her eyes when she looked at me, something distant. And that distance felt like a crack in our life that I couldn't seal, no matter how hard I tried. I'm not the kind of man who runs from a challenge. I've built my life through determination. When something feels wrong, I fix it. So I took Rachel out to dinner to her favorite restaurant. I thought we could reconnect, maybe talk about whatever was bothering her. She smiled that night, but it was the kind of smile that doesn't reach her eyes. We talked, but it was like talking to a stranger, polite, distant. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I thought maybe I was overreacting, reading into things that weren't there. People go through rough patches, right? We get past it. I still loved her, at least I thought I did. But something gnawed at me, a feeling I couldn't shake. And then came that night at the bar, the night everything unraveled. It was a Friday. I'd gone out with some old college friends for drinks, just to unwind. I remember stepping outside, the cool air hitting my face. I was about to light a cigarette when I saw her. Rachel, laughing with another man. His arm was around her waist, pulling her close. My stomach clenched when I saw his hand slide down, his fingers pressing into her lower back, moving lower. And she let him. She didn't pull away. She leaned into him. My chest tightened, heart pounding in my ears. For a second, I stood there, frozen. I couldn't believe it. My mind tried to rationalize it. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe I was wrong. But no, I wasn't wrong. It was all there in front of me. I dropped the cigarette and walked toward him on my fists clenched. I didn't think, didn't plan. The rage boiled up, and before I could stop myself, I yelled, "You bastard!" The guy turned just as my fist connected with his jaw. The crack of bone against bone, the way his body crumpled to the ground, it should have felt satisfying, but it didn't. I wanted more. I was ready to finish him off, to break him the way he was breaking me, but I didn't get the chance. One of his friends, a tall guy, built like a truck, came out of nowhere, his boot smashing into my face. I hit the pavement, the world spinning. Black spots danced in my vision, and for a moment I couldn't move. My mind fogged, my body heavy. When I finally pushed myself up, blood running from my nose, there she was. Rachel kneeling beside the bastard I'd punched, helping him up. She didn't even look at me. She didn't ask if I was okay. It was like I wasn't even there. Her focus was on him, wiping the blood from his lip, concern written all over her face. Something inside me snapped right then. This wasn't just some fling. This wasn't a mistake. She had chosen him over me, right in front of me. I stood there, fists still clenched, the taste of blood in my mouth, watching the two of them walk away. They left me there, bleeding on the ground like I was nothing. I didn't chase after them. I couldn't. My legs felt rooted to the spot, my mind numb. The world as I knew it had shifted, and there was no going back. That was the moment my world shattered. And now, standing there tasting my own blood, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to let this go. Rachel had made her choice, and so had I. I'm still tasting blood as I stumble into my car, my head pounding from the kick. My knuckles throb, split open from the punch I landed on that bastard Derek. But the physical pain is nothing compared to the heat burning in my chest. It's not just anger, it's humiliation. She didn't even look at me. Rachel, my wife, my partner, held that piece of shit like I was invisible. I sit in the driver's seat, staring at the windshield, my fists clenching around the steering wheel. The urge to drive back and rip them both apart surges through me, but I know that won't be enough. I head home instead, still feeling the sting of the pavement against my cheek. The ride back is a blur. I keep replaying the moment in my head. Rachel laughing, the way Derek's hand slid down her body, her eyes full of something that hasn't been for me in a long time. I should have seen it coming. The late nights, the excuses, the distance between us. I thought I could fix it. I thought it was just a phase. I was wrong. Now it's too late to fix anything. When I walk into the house, everything feels different. The walls seem closer, the air thicker. I slam the door behind me and drop my keys on the table, the sound echoing in the silence. My mind races, but I don't feel confused. I feel sharp, clear. The humiliation that twisted in my stomach outside that bar is now a knife I plan to use. Rachel's betrayed me, and I won't just stand by and let it happen. I don't let things go. I've worked too hard for this life, for her, to just watch it slip away. I wait for her to come home. It's past midnight by the time she walks through the door. Her face is pale, her eyes darting to mine, but she doesn't say a word. There's guilt there, a flicker of something like shame, but it's buried deep. She tries to walk past me, but I stop her. "We need to talk," I say, my voice flat. She stands still for a moment, then sits on the couch without a word. I sit across from her, staring at her face, at the mouth I've kissed 1,000 times, the eyes I once believed in. It's all a lie now. I can't trust a single thing about her. "How long?" I ask, keeping my voice calm. Rachel's fingers twist together in her lap. "It's not what you think," she starts, but I cut her off. "Don't. Just tell me how long it's been going on." Her eyes meet mine for the first time. There's a hardness there, something cold. "A few months," she says quietly. "A few months." The words hit me harder than that bastard's friend did. Months. While I was sitting at home, waiting for her, believing her lies. "Wish I had my..." "Yes, why?" It's a stupid question, but I need to hear it from her, Bo. She sighs, looking away. "It just happened. I didn't plan it. Derek's just, he understands me in a way you don't." I laugh, but there's no humor in it. "Understand you?" "He had his hand on your ass in front of me, Rachel." She flinches at my words, but I don't stop. "Was this your plan? You were just going to keep screwing him behind my back until I found out? Or were you waiting for me to give you a reason to leave?" She doesn't answer, her silence louder than anything she could have said. "I should have seen it," I say, shaking my head, "but I didn't want to believe you could do this to me. I didn't want to believe that the woman I married could turn into this." Rachel's eyes narrow, something sharp and defensive flashing in them. "I'm not the only one who's changed, Ethan. You think I haven't noticed? You've been so wrapped up in work, in everything else, you stopped seeing me a long time ago." "Don't you dare blame this on me," I snap, my anger breaking through the calm. "You're the one who stepped out of this marriage." She stands up, her hands trembling. "I made a mistake. I didn't mean for it to go this far." I stand up too, closing the distance between us. "A mistake? You've been fucking him for months, Rachel. That's not a mistake, that's a decision." She looks away, and I can't stand it anymore. The cold fury inside me is boiling over. I want to break something, smash it, but instead I take a deep breath and step back. "I'm not done with this," I say, my voice low. "You might think you've gotten away with it, but you haven't. I'm going to make both of you pay." Her eyes widen at my words, but she doesn't say anything. Maybe she doesn't believe me. Maybe she thinks I'll just let it go. She doesn't know me as well as she thinks she does. Rachel goes upstairs, leaving me alone in the living room. I can hear the creak of the stairs as she disappears into the bedroom, our bedroom, but I don't follow her. I stay downstairs pacing, my mind racing with possibilities. I don't just want revenge. I want destruction. I want to take everything from them, to make them regret ever crossing me. I sit down at the dining table and open my laptop. I'm not sure what I'm looking for, but I start digging into Derek. His social media profiles, his work history, anything I can find. He's a senior executive at the same company as Rachel, a big shot who's probably used to getting what he wants. Well, not this time. This time he messed with the wrong man. The more I learn about him, the more I see how easy it'll be to ruin him. He's got a lot to lose: his reputation, his career, his marriage. Derek's married too. I find pictures of him with his wife on vacation, smiling like nothing's wrong, like he's not screwing my wife behind her back. I wonder if she knows, if she's as blind as I was. I start planning. I'll destroy him piece by piece, slowly, methodically. I'll expose the affair, but not until I've set everything in motion. I need to make sure there's no escape for him or Rachel. They're both going down. The next day, I don't mention anything about the night before. I pretend things are normal. Rachel's quiet, avoiding my eyes, but I act like nothing's wrong. I need time to figure this out, to gather more information. She thinks I'm backing down, that I'm going to let it go. Let her keep lying to me. That's fine. Let her think she's won for now. I spend the next few days digging deeper into Derek's life. I hack into his emails, his social media accounts, even his work computer. It's easier than I thought it'd be. People like Derek think they're untouchable, that no one's going to come after them. They're careless. I find out more than I expected. Details about his clients, his deals. I start to wonder how much of it is legitimate. One night, while Rachel is out with friends, I find what I'm looking for: an email chain between Derek and some other executives at the company. They're skimming money off the books, embezzling millions. The affair is just the tip of the iceberg. If I play this right, I can take him down completely. I lean back in my chair, staring at the screen. This is bigger than I thought, and now I have a choice to make. I can blow up their affair, destroy his marriage, maybe even get Rachel fired. But if I go after the embezzlement, I can ruin his entire life. It's tempting, so tempting. But there's a risk. If Rachel's involved in this, if she's in too deep, exposing Derek could take her down too. Do I want to destroy her completely? I don't know. My mind races with possibilities, my pulse quickening as I consider my next move. One thing is certain: Derek's not getting out of this. Neither of them are. I close the laptop and sit in the dark, the weight of the decision pressing down on me. This is only the beginning. I'm just getting started. I start small, planting the seeds of doubt. It's not enough to tear them apart quickly. I want them to unravel slowly the way my life did. My first move is simple. I access Rachel's phone while she's in the shower one morning. I installed spyware weeks ago, but this time I copy a few text messages and emails between her and Derek. Just a handful, nothing explicit, just enough to suggest they're closer than they should be. Later, I drop those messages into an anonymous email to Derek's wife, Samantha. I can already picture her face when she reads it. A wife knows when something's off. This will make her start questioning, start watching. She won't be able to help herself. Once doubt takes root, it grows like a weed. I don't stop there. I need Rachel to feel it too. I start gaslighting her in small ways. I move things around the house: her keys, her earrings. She's always meticulous, knowing where everything is. So when she can't find them, it throws her off balance. I act like I'm trying to help, but each time I leave her a little more frazzled, a little more unsure of herself. Then there's the car. One night I let the air out of one of her tires, just enough to make her late to a meeting. She comes home irritated, venting about how everything's going wrong. I play the role of the supportive husband, but inside I'm smiling. It's working. She's unraveling bit by bit. The surveillance becomes my new routine. I track her every move. The spyware feeds me all of her messages, calls, and locations. When she meets Derek, I already know where and when. I don't confront her. Not yet. I'm biding my time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Rachel doesn't notice how distant I've become. If she does, she doesn't say anything. Maybe she's relieved that I'm not pushing her about the affair. She's still seeing Derek, though they're more careful now. But it doesn't matter. I see everything. It's like I've slipped into another version of myself. Cold, calculating, detached. Every move is deliberate, planned. I watch her like a hawk, waiting for her to slip. I start feeding more anonymous tips to Samantha, carefully crafted to make her feel like she's discovering the affair on her own. The key is to make it believable, to never give too much at once, just enough to keep her digging. I begin gathering more information on Derek, too. The more I learn, the more I realize how much I can use against him. He's not just some mid-level manager at Rachel's company. He's a senior executive, and he's dirty, really dirty. He's involved in an embezzlement scheme, siphoning off money from the company. And Rachel? She might be implicated, or at least too close to it for comfort. I wasn't expecting this. The affair is one thing, but this? It's like finding a loaded gun. If I expose him, I could bring him down completely. The problem is, Rachel might get caught in the crossfire. Part of me wants that. Part of me wants her to lose everything the way I did, but another part hesitates. There's still a line I haven't crossed yet. I spend weeks watching them both. Derek doesn't know it, but I've hacked into his work emails too. I'm careful reading through his correspondences, looking for more dirt. The embezzlement trail is there, but it's messy. It's going to take time to piece together enough to bring him down. Rachel's become more distant at home, more stressed. She's losing sleep, and the tension between us is almost palpable. Some nights, I lie next to her in bed, wondering if she can sense how close I am to destroying everything. But she doesn't ask, doesn't push. One night after Rachel goes to bed early, I decide to push things further with Samantha. I send her another email, this one with more explicit details. Dates, locations where Derek and Rachel have been meeting. I don't reveal everything, but it's enough to make her confront him. I know she'll demand answers. It'll force Derek's hand. The next day, Rachel comes home late. She's distracted, barely talking. I can tell something's happened, but I don't press her. Let her stew. Let her feel the weight of what's coming. I go to my office, closing the door behind me. I need to think about my next move. I could go to the authorities with the embezzlement. I've gathered enough to at least get Derek investigated. But if I do, Rachel could get dragged into it. Do I want that? Do I want to burn her life to the ground too? I sit there staring at the computer screen trying to decide. I need to stay in control. I can't let my anger cloud my judgment. I'll wait. I'll see how this plays out between Derek and Samantha. I can still ruin them both, but I need to be patient. A few days later, I get what I've been waiting for. Rachel comes home in tears. She barely makes it through the door before she collapses onto the couch, sobbing. I don't have to ask. I already know. Derek's wife confronted him, and it blew up in their faces. Rachel's phone buzzes on the table, and I see Derek's name flash across the screen. She doesn't answer, just stares at it through her tears. I sit down next to her, playing the concerned husband. "What happened?" I ask, keeping my voice calm. She wipes her eyes, struggling to get the words out. "Derek's wife found out. She's threatening to tell his boss." I nod slowly, pretending to process the information. "And what does that mean for you?" Rachel looks at me, her eyes wide with fear. "I don't know. If this gets out, I could lose my job." She's scared now, really scared. Good. I lean back, crossing my arms. "Maybe it's time to cut ties with him," I suggest casually. Her head snaps up, panic flashing in her eyes. "I can't just walk away, Ethan. It's complicated." We're in too deep. There it is. She's not just having an affair. She's involved in Derek's schemes. I knew it. But hearing her admit it out loud solidifies everything. This is bigger than I thought, bigger than just a marriage falling apart. I feel the adrenaline kick in, my mind racing with possibilities. I could use this. I could blow it all up, take down Derek, destroy Rachel's career, and burn everything they've built. But I need to be careful. I can't act rashly. Not yet. I don't know what to do, Rachel whispers, her voice cracking. I'm trapped. For a brief moment, I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. But then I remember the way she looked at Derek, the way she ignored me as I lay bleeding on the sidewalk. No, she deserves everything that's coming. I'll help you, I say, my voice steady, but you need to tell me everything. No more lies. She looks up at me, her eyes filled with desperation. Okay, she whispers. I listen as she starts to unravel the story. Derek's been skimming money from the company for years, using shell corporations and offshore accounts to hide the funds. Rachel helped him cover his tracks, handling some of the transfers, keeping everything under the radar. She was in it for the money, the thrill of being part of something dangerous. But now it's all coming crashing down. I don't react as she talks. I just absorb the information, filing it away for later. This is what I needed. The final piece of the puzzle. I can destroy Derek and Rachel with this. I can take everything from them. But there's a part of me that hesitates. Do I really want to ruin her completely? I thought I did, but now, hearing her break down in front of me, I'm not so sure. There's still a line I haven't crossed. A part of me that wonders if I can stop before it's too late. I stand up, my mind made up. You need to cut all ties with him, I say firmly. Now. Before this gets worse. Rachel nods, wiping her tears. I will. I promise. I walk to the door, my hand on the knob. Good. I'll take care of the rest. She looks at me, confusion flickering in her eyes. What do you mean? I don't answer. I just leave the room, my heart pounding. I know what I have to do. I have all the information I need to bring Derek down. And Rachel will go down with him if I choose to. But I'm not done yet. I need to think, to plan my final move. This is only the beginning. I sit at my desk, staring at the folder on my computer. Everything I need to destroy Derek is in there. Emails, financial records, wire transfers. I've got him. But it's not just Derek. Rachel is tied to this too. She's not innocent. She knew. She helped him hide the money, and now I hold both their lives in my hands. I've spent weeks collecting this information, watching them both unravel, and now I'm at the edge of a decision I can't undo. If I expose Derek, I'll take Rachel down too. I've waited for this moment, planned every step, but now that it's here, I'm not sure if I can do it. Can I completely ruin her? I lean back, closing my eyes. I can hear Rachel moving around in the kitchen downstairs, the faint clatter of dishes. It's almost pathetic how she's been pretending everything is fine, like we're just going through a rough patch. She doesn't know what's coming. Not yet. My phone buzzes. It's Derek. We need to talk, the message reads. I expected this. He's probably figured out by now that I'm the one who sent those emails to Samantha, the one pulling the strings. But I haven't shown my hand yet. He doesn't know how much I really have on him. I text him back, meet me at the office tomorrow morning, alone. I'll face him directly. Let him see that I'm in control. The next morning I arrive early. The office is quiet, the rest of the staff not due in for hours. I sit in my chair, watching the door. The air feels thick, like it's charged with everything I've been building toward. And then Derek walks in. He's tense, eyes darting around the room like he expects to be ambushed. His confidence is gone. I've taken that from him already, and he knows it. You're the one who's been leaking the affair, he says, closing the door behind him. Aren't you? I don't respond right away. I want him to feel the weight of it. I want him to know how deeply I've dug into his life. I know everything, I finally say, my voice low and calm. Not just about you and Rachel. I know about the embezzlement. His face goes pale, and for the first time I see real fear in his eyes. Ethan, you don't know what you're getting into, he says, his voice shaking. This isn't just about me. There are others involved. If you expose this, it won't just be me who goes down. I lean forward, narrowing my eyes. I don't care about the others. I care about you. I care about Rachel. He flinches at her name and I can see the panic setting in. He wasn't expecting this. He thought I was just a jealous husband, trying to ruin his marriage. He doesn't know that I've been playing the long game. Listen, he says, trying to regain some control. We can work something out. I can make this go away. You and Rachel, she doesn't have to get dragged into this. I laugh, a sharp, bitter sound. You really think you're in a position to make deals? He steps closer, his desperation palpable. I'm offering you a way out, Ethan. You can walk away from this. I'll take care of it. I'll protect Rachel. I stand up, my fists clenching at my sides. You don't get to protect her. You don't get to make any more promises. Derek is silent, watching me carefully, waiting for my next move. He knows I've won. He's just hoping to cut his losses. You've been skimming millions, I continue, using Rachel to move the money. Do you really think I'm going to let you walk away from this? He exhales slowly, his shoulders sagging in defeat. What do you want, Ethan? You want me out of the picture? Fine, I'll leave. I'll disappear. Just don't go to the police. Don't ruin her. There it is, the offer I knew was coming. He thinks he can bargain with me, that I'll let him vanish into thin air while I hold on to whatever twisted remains of my marriage. But he doesn't know me. He doesn't know what I've become. You think you're still in control, I say quietly. You think you can just walk away like none of this ever happened. I move closer and I see the flicker of fear in his eyes again. You destroyed my life, Derek, you and Rachel. You took everything from me and now you expect mercy? I reach into my jacket pocket and pull out a small flash drive, holding it up between us. This is everything I need to bury you, and I'm going to use it. Derek's face twists in desperation. Wait! Ethan, please. I'm done listening. I cut him off, my voice cold and final. You're going to pay for what you've done. I turn and walk out of the office, leaving him standing there, broken. The next steps are clear. I'm taking this to the authorities. The embezzlement, the affair, all of it. There's no turning back now, but as I drive home, my mind starts to spin. What will happen to Rachel? She's guilty too. She's been complicit in this whole thing, but do I really want to see her go down with him? Do I want her life destroyed completely? I pull into the driveway and sit there for a moment, staring at the house. I need to confront her. I need to know where she stands in all of this. I need to hear it from her. When I walk inside, Rachel is sitting at the kitchen table, a glass of wine in her hand. She looks up as I enter, her eyes red and swollen. She's been crying. Good. We need to talk, I say, standing in the doorway. She sets the glass down, her hands trembling slightly. What about? About you and Derek, about everything. Her eyes widen, and I can see the panic starting to rise in her. She knows what's coming. I know about the money, I say bluntly. The embezzlement. You've been helping him steal from your company. She doesn't deny it. She just stares at me, her face pale, her lips pressed into a thin line. How long, I demand, my voice rising. How long have you been lying to me? She shakes her head, tears welling up in her eyes. It's not what you think, Ethan. I didn't want to get involved. Derek, he pressured me. He said he'd ruin my career if I didn't help him. I laugh, a harsh, bitter sound. You expect me to believe that? You've been sleeping with him for months. Don't act like you're some innocent victim. Her tears spill over, but I don't feel any sympathy. Not anymore. She made her choice when she started this affair, when she decided to betray me in every possible way. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she sobs, burying her face in her hands. I was scared, Ethan. I was scared of what he would do if I didn't help. I slam my hand down on the table, making her flinch. You should have been scared of me. She looks up at me, her face wet with tears. What are you going to do? I stare at her for a long moment, the weight of the decision pressing down on me. I could destroy her right now. I could take everything from her, just like she took everything from me. But as I stand there watching her break down in front of me, something inside me shifts. I've already won. I've already destroyed them. Derek's life is over. Rachel's hanging by a thread. What more could I possibly gain from dragging her down further? I'm going to the authorities, I say quietly. Derek's going to prison, and if you're smart, you'll cut ties with him now before it's too late. Her eyes widen in shock. You're not going to expose me? I shake my head, feeling the weight lift slightly from my chest. No. I've had enough revenge. Rachel stares at me, disbelief written all over her face. She doesn't thank me. She doesn't apologize. She just nods, understanding that this is her only way out. I turn and leave the room without another word. I'm done. The next few days pass in a blur. I file the evidence with the authorities, making sure it all points to Derek. I keep Rachel out of it, for now. I've done enough. I've taken everything I needed from them. But as the dust settles, I start to feel the emptiness creeping in. The revenge didn't bring the satisfaction I thought it would. I've destroyed their lives, but what do I have left? Nothing. I sit in the quiet of the house, the same house that once felt warm and full of life, now cold and hollow. I've won, but it doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like I've lost something even more valuable. I've lost myself. Derek's offer hangs in the air like a noose, tightening around my neck. He thinks he's clever, that I'll see his proposition as a way out. But I know better. He's desperate. He's trying to save himself, and he's willing to throw Rachel under the bus to do it. I don't respond immediately. I want him to squirm, to feel the pressure of my silence. He clears his throat, his voice shaky. You know I can make this all go away, Ethan. You walk away, I walk away. We cover this up. No one has to get hurt. No one, see? I say quietly, my fingers drumming the desk. What about Rachel? You'd throw her to the wolves to save yourself. Derek's face tightens. She knew what she was getting into. My knuckles whiten as I clench my fists. He doesn't care about her. Not really. She was just a tool to him, a means to an end. My stomach churns with disgust, but also with something else. An odd sense of satisfaction. I've played Derek perfectly. He thinks he's offering me a lifeline, but I'm the one with the power here, and now I need to decide what to do with it. I stand up, pacing the room. The silence grows heavy between us. Derek watches me, his body tense, waiting for me to make the next move. He doesn't know that I've already decided. I'm not going to make a deal. There's no bargaining with a man like him. I stop and look at him, my voice steady. I'm not interested in your offer, Derek. His eyes widen slightly, a flicker of panic flashing across his face. Ethan, be reasonable. This could ruin you, too. You think you'll come out of this clean? The cops will come after you, after Rachel. Everyone's going down. I shake my head. You're the one going down, you, not me. I take a step toward him, lowering my voice. I've got everything I need to bury you. The emails, the transfers, the shell companies. I'm taking it all to the authorities. He swallows hard, his bravado crumbling. And Rachel? You're gonna throw her under the bus, too? I hesitate for a split second, his words hitting me harder than I expected. Rachel, she's been part of this mess, but she's not Derek. She didn't orchestrate the embezzlement, didn't use me like he did. She made her choices, and she'll have to live with the consequences, but I'm not sure I want to see her destroyed completely. Not like this. Derek steps forward, sensing my hesitation. Think about it, Ethan. If you go through with this, Rachel's career is over. Her life's over. You might hate her right now, but you don't want to be the one responsible for ruining everything she's built. I clench my jaw. He's playing on my emotions, trying to twist my guilt into something he can use. But I'm done being manipulated. I'll figure that out, I say coldly. But you? You're finished. I turn away from him and walk to the door, opening it wide. Get out. Derek stares at me, his mouth opening to protest, but he knows it's over. He straightens his jacket, his face a mask of fury and fear, and storms out without another word. As the door slams behind him, I feel the tension in my body release. But it's not relief, it's something darker. The thrill of knowing that I've won, that Derek is finished. But there's no joy in it, just a hollow victory. I sit back down, staring at the file on my computer. It's all there, everything I need to bring Derek down. But what about Rachel? What do I do with her? Hours pass and I can't shake the feeling of unease that's settled in my gut. I keep replaying the moment she admitted to her involvement, the look of fear in her eyes when she realized how deep she was in. She was scared of Derek, yes, but she chose this path. She made her bed. But I can't ignore the small part of me that still feels something for her, some flicker of the life we had before everything fell apart. The sound of the front door opening snaps me out of my thoughts. Rachel walks in, her face pale, her eyes tired. She's been on edge for days waiting for the other shoe to drop. I haven't told her about my meeting with Derek. Not yet. She stands in the doorway, her hands clasped together. We need to talk. I nod, gesturing for her to sit. She does, but she keeps her distance, as if she's afraid of what I'm going to say. She should be. Derek came to see me today, I say calmly, watching her reaction. Her eyes widen in shock. What? What did he want? To cut a deal. He wanted me to cover for him, help him bury the embezzlement. Rachel's breath hitches, and she looks away, her face flushed with shame. And what did you say? I told him no, I'm going to the authorities. Derek's going to prison. She nods slowly, her shoulders slumping. I figured as much. I lean forward, narrowing my eyes at her. The question is, what do I do with you? Her head snaps up, her eyes filling with fear. Ethan, Save it, I cut her off. You lied to me for months. You helped Derek steal millions. And you expect me to just let that go? Tears well up in her eyes, but I don't feel any sympathy. Not anymore. She made her choices, and now she's going to pay for them. I didn't want this, she whispers, her voice breaking. I didn't want to hurt you. I laugh bitterly. Too late for that. She wipes her tears, her hands trembling. What are you going to do? I sit back, folding my arms. I'm going to take Derek down, but I'm not going to destroy you, not completely. Her eyes widen in surprise. You're not? No, I say coldly. You're going to quit your job. Cut ties with Derek. Disappear from his life. If you do that, I'll make sure you're not implicated in the investigation. But if I find out you're still involved with him, I won't hesitate to take you down with him. Understand? She nods frantically, her relief palpable. I'll do it. I'll leave him, I swear. Good. I stand up, my voice hard. Now get out of my sight. She stumbles to her feet, grabbing her things and rushing out of the room without another word. I don't watch her go. I don't need to. She's broken, and I've won. But as the door closes behind her, the emptiness creeps back in. I stare at the screen in front of me, the cursor blinking, the file ready to be sent. My hand hovers over the mouse, and for a moment, I hesitate. Exposing Derek, destroying him. It's what I've wanted for so long. But what comes after? What happens when the revenge is complete? I take a deep breath and click send. The fallout is immediate. The authorities move in quickly, and within days, Derek is arrested. The media picks up the story, and his face is plastered on every news channel. Embezzlement, fraud, corruption. It's all out in the open now. His life, his career, everything he's built is gone in an instant. Rachel quits her job, just like I told her to. She disappears from the public eye, and for a while I don't hear from her. I don't need to. I've done what I set out to do. I've ruined them both, but the satisfaction never comes. The emptiness that's been gnawing at me only grows. The thrill of revenge fades, leaving behind a void that I can't fill. I thought destroying them would make me feel whole again, but all it's done is leave me more hollow than before. One night, weeks after Derek's arrest, Rachel shows up at the house. She looks different, tired, worn down, like the weight of everything has finally crushed her. I need to talk to you, she says, her voice small. I let her in, curious about what she has to say. She sits across from me, her hands folded in her lap, her eyes downcast. There's something I need to tell you, she says quietly. Something I should have told you a long time ago. I lean back, crossing my arms. What is it? She takes a deep breath, her eyes flicking up to meet mine. Derek wasn't the only one. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. For a moment, I can't breathe. I just stare at her, waiting for her to explain. There was someone else, she whispers, her voice trembling. Before Derek, it was just once, but it happened. My mind races, trying to process what she's saying. Another man, another betrayal. I thought I'd already seen the worst of her lies, but this is something else entirely. Why didn't you tell me? I ask, my voice low, dangerous. She looks down, shame washing over her face. I was afraid. I knew if you found out you'd leave me. I stand up, pacing the room, my hands shaking with rage. I thought I'd already taken everything from her, but now I realize I've been playing catch-up, chasing shadows. She's been lying to me from the start, and I've been too blind to see it. You've been cheating on me for longer than I thought, I say, my voice icy. You've been lying to me this entire time. She doesn't respond. She just sits there, silent, broken. I've destroyed her life, but somehow it still doesn't feel like enough. I stop pacing, my mind racing with thoughts I can't control. Revenge wasn't enough. It was never enough. Now I'm left with the pieces of a life I can't put back together, and I don't know what to do next. Rachel stands, walking toward the door. She pauses, looking back at me one last time. I'm sorry, she whispers, before walking out of my life for good. I sit down, staring at the empty room around me. The silence is deafening. I've won, but at what cost? The satisfaction I craved is nowhere to be found. Instead, I'm left with the realization that I've lost more than I've gained. The house feels colder now, lonelier, and I'm left with nothing but the ghosts of what used to be. I hear Rachel before I see her, the quiet shuffle of her feet on the hardwood, the clink of her glass against the counter. She's always done this, moving around silently like a shadow. But I'm not blind anymore, not deaf either. I can feel the tension radiating from her even through the walls. I sit at the table, staring at the cold coffee in front of me. It's early, I haven't slept much, but what's new? My mind never stops. The house feels too big now, too empty. And yet, somehow, there's still not enough space for both of us. She's become a ghost in this house, and I'm the one haunting her. She walks into the room, her eyes flicking toward me before she quickly looks away. Her movements are tentative, like she's bracing for impact. Good, she should be. After everything, after what she's done, I want her to feel the weight of it. The same weight I've been carrying since that night outside the bar, the night my life split in two. I need to talk to you, I say, my voice low but steady. My eyes never leave her. Rachel stops mid-step, her body stiffening. She knows this conversation has been coming. Hell, we've been circling it for weeks. She can't avoid it anymore. She walks to the table, placing her glass down with trembling hands. But she doesn't sit. I know, she says quietly, not meeting my gaze. You know? I echo, my voice tight. Do you know what I know, Rachel? Or are you still hiding things from me? Her shoulders hunch, and I see the guilt wash over her face. It's there, plain as day, and I hate her for it. I hate that even after everything, she can still make me feel something, anything. I'm not hiding anything, and she whispers. I laugh, but it's a sharp, bitter sound. Really? Because I've had to drag the truth out of you every step of the way. First, it was the affair with Derek, then the embezzlement. And now you tell me there's more. Rachel flinches, but she doesn't argue. She just stands there, staring at the floor, and I can't help but wonder if she's already rehearsed what she's going to say next. I didn't want to lie to you, she says, her voice shaking, but I was scared. Scared of what? Scared of me or scared of the truth? Her silence is answer enough. I stand up, walking toward her slowly, deliberately. I need her to understand that I'm in control now, that she doesn't get to dictate the terms of this conversation. Not anymore. Derek came to me, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. He tried to make a deal. Derek tried to convince me to help him cover everything up, throw you under the bus. Rachel's head snaps up, her eyes wide with shock. What? I take another step forward, closing the distance between us. He doesn't care about you, Rachel. He was willing to let you take the fall. Willing to leave you with nothing. Her face pales, and for a moment, I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. But then I remember the lies, the betrayals. I remember standing outside that bar, watching her in his arms while I lay bleeding on the ground. "And what did you say?" she asked, her voice barely audible. I said no. Her eyes search mine, confusion clouding her expression. She doesn't understand. She still doesn't get it. Why? Why would you do that? Because I wanted to be the one to ruin him, I say coldly. Not you, not anyone else. Me. Rachel's breath catches in her throat, and for the first time I see real fear in her eyes. She knows now. She knows that this isn't about forgiveness or love or even hate. It's about control, and she's lost it. I'm going to the authorities, I continue, my voice steady. I've already sent them everything they need. Derek's going down. Her body sways slightly like she might collapse under the weight of what I'm telling her. But I'm not done. I'm giving you a chance. I say, walk away from this. Leave him. Leave everything. If you do, I'll make sure you do not get caught up in the investigation. Rachel's eyes are wide with disbelief. She wasn't expecting this. She thought I'd destroy her along with Derek, that I'd burn her life to the ground. But I've already taken enough from her. And honestly, I'm not sure if I want to see her completely ruined. Not yet. I'll do it, she whispers. I'll leave him. I nod, stepping back. Good. But understand this, Rachel. If you ever cross me again, I won't hesitate. I'll take everything. Her lips tremble, but she doesn't argue. She just nods, her body sagging with relief. I turn and walk out of the room, leaving her standing there, broken. I've won. I've taken control back, and I've destroyed Derek in the process. But as I walk down the hall, that familiar emptiness creeps back in. The thrill of revenge has faded, leaving behind a hollow feeling I can't shake. Hours pass and the house is quiet again. Rachel left earlier, packing a bag and slipping out without saying goodbye. It didn't matter. She's out of my life now, just like I planned. But as I sit alone in the dark, staring at the empty room around me, I wonder if I've really won it all. The doorbell rings, breaking the silence. I stand up, frowning. It's late. Who the hell could it be? When I open the door, I'm met with a familiar face. Samantha, Derek's wife. Her expression is hard, unreadable, but there's a fire in her eyes I wasn't expecting. We need to talk, she says, pushing past me and stepping inside. I close the door, watching her carefully. I wasn't expecting this. I thought once Derek was taken down, she'd disappear. But here she is, standing in my living room, her hands clenched at her sides. What are you doing here? I ask, my voice tense. She turns to face me, her eyes narrowing. I know what you did. I know you're the one who exposed Derek. I don't deny it. What's the point? And now I want in. I blink, taken aback. In? What are you talking about? Samantha steps closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. I want revenge. On Derek. On Rachel. On everyone who thought they could control me. I stare at her, trying to make sense of what she's saying. This wasn't part of the plan. She wasn't supposed to be here, throwing a wrench into everything. But as I watch her, I realize something. Maybe this is exactly what I need. What do you want? I ask, my voice low. Samantha smiles, but there's no warmth in it. I want to ruin them both, completely. And I think you can help me. My mind races, weighing the possibilities. I could walk away from this, let it all end here, or I could team up with her, take everything from Derek and Rachel. But something about this feels off, dangerous. I don't need your help, I say, my voice hard. Derek's already going down. Samantha's smile fades and she takes a step back. Fine, but just know this. You're not as in control as you think. You've burned a lot of bridges, Ethan. And eventually someone's going to burn you back. With that, she turns and walks out, leaving me standing alone in the quiet house once again. I sit down, staring at the front door, my mind buzzing. Samantha's words echo in my head. You're not as in control as you think. I've spent months planning, manipulating, taking control of everything and everyone around me. But now, for the first time, I feel something slipping, something I can't quite put my finger on. I stand up, pacing the room, my heart racing. The house feels smaller, the walls closing in. I thought revenge would bring me closure, satisfaction, but all it's done is isolate me. I've pushed everyone away. Rachel, Derek, even myself. I walk to the window, staring out at the dark street. The night feels heavy, oppressive, like it's pressing down on me. For a moment, I wonder what it would be like to just walk away, to leave it all behind. But I know I can't. I've come too far. There's no turning back now. As I stand there, the weight of everything I've done settles on my shoulders. The lies, the manipulation, the destruction, it's all caught up with me. And for the first time, I realized that maybe Samantha was right. I'm not in control, not anymore. The final confrontation isn't coming from Derek or Rachel or even Samantha. It's coming from within. The person I've become, the choices I've made, it's all catching up to me, and there's no escaping it. I sit back down, my hands trembling slightly. The house is too quiet, too empty, and I'm left with nothing but the wreckage of my life. I've destroyed them all, but I've destroyed myself in the process, and now I have to live with it. I sit in the dark, the silence pressing in around me. The apartment is empty, stripped bare of everything that once made it feel like a home. Rachel is gone, and with her, any trace of what our life used to be. I should feel something, relief, satisfaction, maybe even triumph. But there's nothing, just this hollow, gnawing emptiness. The last few months have been a blur of schemes and revenge. I've torn Derek's life apart, watched as Rachel crumbled under the weight of her own lies, and I thought that once it was done, I'd feel whole again. That all the anger, the betrayal would somehow be justified. But now, sitting here, I realize I've been chasing a ghost. Revenge didn't fix anything. It didn't fill the hole that Rachel left. The room feels too big, too quiet. I stand up, pacing, my mind replaying everything that's happened. The affair, the lease, Derek's embezzlement. It all led me here to this moment. But what now? What do I have left? The satisfaction I craved is nowhere to be found, and the life I had is gone, shattered into pieces I can't put back together. I think about Rachel's final words to me. The look in her eyes when she told me Derek wasn't the only one. There had been another before him. Another betrayal. It hit me like a knife to the gut, a fresh wound just as the old one was starting to scab over. She didn't just cheat, she lived a lie for years. And I was too blind, too trusting to see it. I stop in front of the window, staring out at the street below. The city hums with life, people going about their business, completely unaware of the wreckage inside this apartment. It feels like I'm watching the world from behind a pane of glass, separated, distant. I've isolated myself, and now I'm not sure how to come back. The doorbell rings, startling me out of my thoughts. I glance at the clock. It's late. Who the hell could it be? For a brief moment, I wonder if it's Rachel. Come back to say something more, but I shake the thought away. She's gone. I made sure of that. I open the door to find Samantha, Derek's wife, standing there. She looks different, stronger, more composed than the last time I saw her. There's something unreadable in her expression, a glint in her eyes that makes me uneasy. "What are you doing here?" I ask, my voice tight. Samantha steps inside without waiting for an invitation. She moves with purpose, as if she's been rehearsing this moment. She doesn't sit, just stands in the middle of the room, her arms crossed. "You think this is over?" she says, her voice cold. "You think you've won?" I frown, taken aback by her tone. "Derek's gone. Rachel's gone. What more is there?" Samantha shakes her head, a bitter smile tugging at her lips. "You've been so focused on your little revenge plot, you didn't see the bigger picture, did you? You weren't the only one pulling strings." I stare at her, my mind racing. "What are you talking about?" She steps closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Derek was scum, but he wasn't stupid. He knew you were coming for him. He knew about Rachel, about everything, and he made sure that if he went down, you wouldn't get to walk away clean either. The weight of her words sinks in and I feel a cold knot forming in my stomach. What did he do? Samantha's smile widens, but it's empty, devoid of any real joy. You're not as clever as you think, Ethan. While you were busy destroying him, he was making sure you'd go down with him. The authorities? They're not just looking at Derek now. They're looking at you too. I feel the floor shift beneath me, like the ground is falling away. Everything I've worked for, every calculated move, and now this, I thought I was in control, but now it feels like I've been playing a game I never really understood. I didn't touch the money, I say, my voice hollow. Samantha shrugs. Doesn't matter. Derek made sure your name's in the mix. You think he'd let you destroy him without a fight? I turn away, the room spinning. Gosh, though. I've been so focused on revenge, so consumed by the need to make them pay, that I didn't see the trap closing around me. And now everything is unraveling. Samantha moves to the door, her hand on the knob. Good luck, Ethan. You're going to need it. The door closes behind her, leaving me alone once again. I stand there staring at the empty space where she stood, my mind racing, but there's nothing to grab onto. No plan, no solution, just the cold, hard reality that I've lost. I sit down at the table, my hands shaking. For the first time in months, I feel helpless. The revenge that consumed me has turned to ash in my mouth, and all I have left is the wreckage of my life. Derek's gone, Rachel's gone, and soon everything I've built will come crashing down around me. I stare at the empty apartment, the silence pressing in. I wanted control, but now I see the truth. I never had it. Not really. I've been chasing shadows, trying to fix something that was broken beyond repair. And in the process, I've destroyed everything that mattered. The thought gnaws at me, deep and unrelenting. This isn't what I wanted. This isn't how it was supposed to end. But there's no one left to blame. No one but me. I lean back in my chair, staring up at the ceiling, the weight of it all pressing down. The silence is deafening, and for the first time, I wonder if I've lost more than just Rachel. I've lost myself, and now, as the darkness closes in, I realize there's no way back.